Hi, everybody, and welcome to City Beat. I'm your host, Nancy Byrne, and we are at Las Vegas Fire and Rescue's Training Center, where there actually is a class training right now to become members of our esteemed fire department. You know, there are a lot of people in our city that have chosen careers that put their lives on the line. Recently, at Police Memorial Park, an annual event was held so that we could let our law enforcement officers know how much we appreciate the fact that they risk their lives for us every day. Police Memorial Park is a beautiful place created to honor our fallen officers. This plaque reads, "In memory of Clark County peace officers who gave their lives in the performance of their duties." But on this beautiful Saturday, the park was filled with those who also wanted to honor our officers who are still on the beat, protecting us every day. Law Enforcement Appreciation Day brought out record crowds who wanted to thank these selfless men and women. A ceremony steeped in tradition kicked off the day.
Our multi-jurisdiction honor guard.
Members of all local agencies were on hand, as well as medical first responders. Also here on this day, local headliner FRANKIE SCINTA, who has always been a tremendous supporter of law enforcement officers.
It's an honor to be here to pay homage to our law enforcement and appreciation for all that they do for all of us and our families and our children.
Mayor CAROLYN GOODMAN stepped up to the podium and put into perspective the lives our law enforcement officers live every day.
A profession that every minute of their lives and careers put them every day at full risk, day by day. Leaving home not knowing if they'll return, perhaps leaving their own children behind with a hug and a kiss each morning or in the evenings, hugging their spouses goodbye or their parents, and walking away every day.
Sheriff Joe Lombardo said he has always been proud to represent Las Vegas Metropolitan Police, but at this ceremony he expressed pride in all first responders following October 1st.
It was tragic. It was absolutely tragic that we have to experience an event like 1 October, but it was wonderful for me to have that peace of mind on how we responded and protected our community.
He told those present he is often asked by citizens what they can do to thank officers. He tells them one simple gesture.
Because as you can imagine, what they do for 10 hours in, 10 hours out, it's usually negative. It's usually involving taking away somebody's freedom. It's usually involving somebody being in distress or being abused or being victimized. So I think it's very important for you to bring them up and shake their hand and say thank you for what you do.
Wrapping up the ceremony, Captain Harry FAGEL, who always has a way of putting into words emotions most of us find hard to express. In his poem called The Rout, he speaks of how in the evil we can see the good rise.
Police officers immediately shielding and putting themselves in the way of the attack. Off-duty soldiers and cops and firemen reacting swiftly and carrying people away from danger. Regular citizens who, risking their very lives, took a pause to help. Driving the masses of wounded to the hospitals, where caring doctors and nurses slaved away to save the dying and give them chances at another day, another day. Take a moment and picture the women and men in tan and blue and white and green and badge beholden or medicine trained. We are so lucky, so very lucky to have them. Saints who erase the evil and let us all know light conquers dark, and we can again someday, today, rejoice.
Thank you.
The citizens were moved by his words and by this day. The officers were moved by the citizens.
I believe events like this allow the community to heal. They bring all of us together, law enforcement in the community, and I believe that they not only reestablish the partnership that we have to have in order to build and move forward, but I believe that it reinvigorates the community.
You know, they're pretty much seeing us running lights and sirens into to and from calls and emergency situations. So, you know, it's kind of a, you know, very low-key kind of atmosphere, very, very mellow, where we can actually sit and talk and have good dialogue with the public, and they enjoy that just as much as we do.
You know, there are a lot of people out there in our community that are helping people every day in need. Right now, we want to talk about those helping our homeless population. You may have heard of the Courtyard. It's a new initiative by the City of Las Vegas to provide a variety of services to our homeless population, all in one area. Jennifer Davies has an update on how the Courtyard is coming along.
As the city works steadily to bring the Courtyard to 24/7 operation this spring, more than 3,600 individuals have already accessed services at the facility located near Las Vegas Boulevard and Four-Master downtown.
Right now, we're doing what we call pop-up services, where we have so many of our great community partners who are coming, offering services to the homeless and trying to connect them to resources and get them off the street.
These pop-up services include things like restrooms, showers, access to clothing, and most importantly, a safe place to spend time during the day.
This is not something that the city will ever be able to do by ourselves, but we are reaching out and inviting our partners to come in and be a part of this. So instead of sending our clients out to receive services, we are opening our doors to have the community come in and provide those services directly to our clients.
Getting access to services all in one place has been an unmet need and a hurdle in alleviating the cycle of homelessness in our community. Stephen Quackenbush has been on the street since 2015, and yet, despite his own challenges, has been a daily volunteer at the Courtyard since it began welcoming clients in August. He said most people arrive at the Courtyard feeling the exact same way.
Lost. Because they don't know, just don't know where to go, where to sleep, where to eat.
Stephen and other volunteers are on hand to do anything and everything from greeting new faces to dealing with any issues that come up.
It's nice that they come in, they trust me, and sometimes just one person makes a big difference.
Another volunteer making a big difference is Ashley Carr. Ashley helps run the mobile showers and volunteers with the truck 5 days each week, despite having a full-time job herself. On a busy day, the truck can see upwards of 60 people waiting in line to take a shower.
They're very refreshed, is what they tell me. It's just something that it changes their whole outlook on the day.
But she said helping others is the best part of her job.
Everybody is somebody, and sometimes they just need someone to talk to.
Najaya Rogers is part of a nationwide program that helps bring low-income individuals and communities out of poverty. She felt that the Courtyard concept was so important that she moved here to help get it up and running.
I feel like it's not just a job, it's not just volunteerism. I'm doing what I need to do to be able to listen, to be able to show that people who are going through different experiences aren't alone.
What does success look like for this project? Well, for the homeless, it's going to give them that specialized one-on-one help and fill a gap for that hasn't been available before. For our nonprofit partners, it's going to give them access to the people that maybe have refused services in the past or haven't been able to make it to their facility. And for our community, it's going to provide a cleaner and safer environment for all. For more information, you can go to lasvegasnevada.gov/homeless. For City Beat, I'm Jennifer Davies.
Thank you, Jennifer Davies, for that story. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, you may have been asked over and over again, how clean is our drinking water? Well, when we come back, we're going to show you the process our water goes through before it comes through your faucet that just may encourage you. Congratulations to our City of Las Vegas Employee of the Month, Larry Papps. Larry, a concrete mason, was leading a small crew performing maintenance near Alexander Road and Tenaya Way when an elderly woman drove up to them in her car. She was disoriented. She told them she was lost and could not remember how to get home. Larry began calming her down and working to get some information that could help her get home. He learned that her husband worked at a strip casino, so he called the property, eventually made contact, and explained the situation. Larry also took the extra step of waiting with her until her husband arrived to take her home. Because of Larry's assistance and compassion, a dangerous and fearful situation was resolved safely. Thank you, Larry Papps, for showing our residents the City of Las Vegas cares.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Welcome back to City Beat. We're at the Training Center for Las Vegas Fire and Rescue. And behind me, you will see a mural that looks brand new. That's because it is brand new. We're going to tell you all about that a little bit later on in the program. But first, let's face it, no matter where you live, most people think in order to drink clean, safe water, it either has to go through a filter in your home or come out of a water bottle. Well, I was recently guided on a tour throughout the city of Las Vegas that shows the many employees and the many steps that go into making sure our drinking water is safe. We all take it for granted. We turn on a faucet in our home and clean water just magically flows. But where does it come from? And is it really clean enough to drink? To find out the answers, we're going to track that water full circle from wastewater to tap water, starting with where it goes when it leaves our house.
The wastewater goes through a series of pipelines that typically run like under your street and out into the major thoroughfares, all the way down to our treatment plant.
Wait, that's it? Well, it may sound simple, but there's so much more that goes on from your drain to the water treatment plant and ultimately Lake Mead. So let's start with those pipelines. They are not just haphazardly thrown underground. A lot of planning goes into their location, how many, and how large they will be. To ensure the system is on target, the engineers with the city's sanitary sewer section gets involved whenever a building permit is requested.
Anybody that wants to build in the city, they'll have to come and submit land use applications and things like that. Like I want to build a residential subdivision, or I want to build a commercial, or I want to build just a house. So they apply, and one of the processes is it comes through our division here in Public Works, and we'll ensure that what they're proposing, they're connecting to something that we want them to connect to, or we can require them to build a piece of pipe to pioneer sewer to that area, and to make sure that they're doing it in the proper way, that they're building it to and designing it and building it to public standards.
When a business license is requested, another division steps in. The Environmental Compliance Section, or ECS. Businesses are subject to monitoring by our ECS inspectors to make sure dangerous industrial chemicals never make it out of their buildings to the treatment plant.
Wastewater treatment plants by nature are designed to treat domestic household waste, not industrial commercial wastes. That's required to be treated at the source, at the business itself. When you come in to get a business license at the city, depending on what category you're in, let's say you're an automotive repair facility, you're automatically flagged for an ECS approval, which is us. You're required to fill out paperwork for us, which we review, and then we make a determination as to whether or not any requirements are going to be needed on the business, and or if a permit is required, and then and or what type of monitoring is going to be required from there.
Once licenses are issued and pipes are in, Public Works regularly inspects them, and the Streets and Sanitation Division takes care of repairs and routine cleaning.
It's our responsibility to make sure that those pipelines are in top condition, and if they're not in top condition, then we need to do something about them.
Enter this very high-tech robot and computer program used by the city to go where humans would prefer not to go.
It's a scanner, actually, so it's taking pictures on either side of the robot that actually traverses through the pipeline, and so it takes thousands of pictures, and then once you take it back into the office, it stitches them all. The software stitches them all together, so that whenever you want to review that video inspection, you can start and stop, wherever you want to. You can turn and pan and look, so that conventional camera, you're kind of stuck with whatever the guy that was operating the camera wanted to look at that time.
Pipes can be looked at from all angles to detect weak spots, such as root intrusions, and can be fixed before a major problem occurs. You see, if a pipe collapses or gets blocked, dangerous and unhealthy problems occur.
The water has to go somewhere. So we have manholes, and so there's access points to get to that pipeline underground. So the water will come up through there, and then what you have is a sanitary sewer overflow, which is, that's obviously, that's a big problem. One of the other things that's happened in other jurisdictions is you can actually have the ground fails. The pipe collapses and the ground above it sinks, and so you get a sinkhole, and we have a real good track record of avoiding those type of things because of the programs that we have in place today.
That's the story of the elaborate and very well-maintained pipe system in a nutshell. So that takes us to the water treatment plant, or water pollution control facility. Laura Giuliano shows us the many steps taken here to clean incoming wastewater.
You can see behind me the large pipes that bring all the wastewater from the city jurisdiction all into 3 main pipes underground and into our treatment plant so that we can treat the wastewater.
From the plant's underground pipes, it ends up here at the first stage, headworks, where debris that could clog pipes later in the process is removed.
Our goal here is to remove a lot of the large debris that gets flushed down into the sanitary sewer. It can be rags, trash, garbage, anything going down the garbage disposal.
The solids are collected in trucks and carried off to the landfill. As you can imagine, this step comes with a less than pleasant odor. That is where these giant pipes and tree bark come into play.
As the 45 million gallons of wastewater comes into the plant, it also brings with it foul odors. And so one of our goals is to capture the foul odors and treat it and scrub it and make sure that it's clean, because we do have neighbors and we want to be good neighbors to the community around us. The foul air comes up through the bark chips and is cleaned and treated.
The next stop for the water is the primary settling basins, where the water slows down, allowing for heavy solids to settle to the bottom and grease to rise to the top.
We skim the solids off the bottom and skim the grease off the top. Then it comes to this stage, which is our activated sludge nitrification basin. The idea of this stage is we're using biological mechanism at this point where there's microorganisms inside the basin that will consume the ammonia and remove the nitrogen.
The final filtration takes place in this building in preparation for the chlorination stage.
The goal is to remove all the fine particulates because they can interfere with the disinfection when we add the sodium hypochlorite, which is basically bleach, about double the strength of what you would buy in the grocery store.
Finally, this water is dechlorinated and sent out to the Las Vegas Wash, the wetlands, and eventually Lake Mead. Job done? Not yet. Meet Scott Schieffer and Bruce DACKO. They visit Lake Mead at least once a week, not for fun and games, but to test the water at all levels to make sure what the city of Las Vegas is returning to the lake is in tip-top shape. And it may reassure you to know the lake is cleaner than most. You see, Lake Mead also is the source of our drinking water.
Well, I get asked a lot of times if I drink the water, and I absolutely do drink the water.
We watched as they ran through just some of the tests they perform out here on the lake to be sure.
This is a sucky disc. We're going to lower it in the water, and the idea is to lower it as far as we can till we can't see it anymore. And it gives us an idea of the condition of the quality of the water, the clarity. The clearer it is, generally, the better the water quality is. Lake Mead on days like today in the winter, we can get down to near 20 meters, whereas a lot of lakes you'll be lucky to get 2 or 3 meters at any time of the year.
Here's another test. Samples of water are taken with this device. When it's lowered to the test level, a line is pulled and it snaps shut so that when it is raised, no other water can get into the sample, contaminating it. This is done at various levels. There are several other tests taken at 9 different sites in the lake. Some of the samples are sent out since the city reports to the Nevada and the U.S. Environmental Protection agencies.
But in general, we're trying to check the water as it's coming in from the wash and out into the lake and making sure that the wash water is not impacting the lake in any negative ways.
What comes out of our water treatment plant not only affects the quality of our drinking water, it affects our environment.
It meanders through, and there's areas along it where there's these erosion control structures called weirs, which spread the water out and slow it down. And these create areas for habitat for wildlife, ducks and birds and invertebrates and small animals and things. And you have this whole ecosystem that's dependent upon the wash, which is basically created by the wastewater treatment plants.
So you see, when the water leaves our home, it's not magic. It's hundreds of city employees tending to it on a long journey with many intricate steps to ensure this precious resource is clean and healthy.
What we're talking about is the journey of water, and it's such a vital resource for all of the entire community. And what we want to convey is this is our portion of how to build community to make life better and for all our neighbors.
We want to thank Laura Giuliano and all the people that made this learning experience for me and my photographer, Steve Horlock, so much fun. A day on Lake Mead, are you kidding me? We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to explain this beautiful mural of our Stars and Stripes that was recently painted here at the Fire Training Center. Stay with us.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
Welcome back to City Beat. We are at the Fire Training Center for Las Vegas Fire and Rescue, and in just a few minutes, we're going to tell you how that beautiful mural ended up on the tower behind me. But first, this is the time of year when many of us make New Year's resolutions. Mostly those resolutions revolve around losing weight. We also know that people tend to fall off the wagon a few times before they really get going. And one of the main reasons is because there's a huge misconception about what a portion is or a serving. So we talked with a nutritional expert who gave us the scoop on just what size scoops we need when serving up a meal. The holidays are over, a time when we tend to give ourselves a little latitude when it comes to indulging in rich meals, desserts, and adult beverages. So now it's back to reality. And boy, does reality hit hard when we see just how much we need to scale back on our portions if we hope to see our scales scale back too. Registered dietitian CAROLYN says healthy meal sizes vary depending on many things, such as how much weight you need to lose, your age, how active you are, etc. But once you determine what your daily intake should be, you need to understand what a serving really is.
We're so used to going out to eat and you get a plate of food in front of you and it's completely filled with food and that's what we're used to seeing now. And so we kind of replicate that when we're at home. And it really starts to add up over time.
She says you can use measuring cups and kitchen scales to keep track of the food you're putting on your plate, but you can also use other household items to measure your portions. And here's where you may be a bit surprised.
A deck of cards is about a serving size of protein, so your chicken or if you have a hamburger or a piece of steak or something should be about this size. A serving size of fruit is about the size of a baseball, so I know sometimes we see peaches or apples that are twice this size, and that's fine. Just keep in mind that you might be eating 2 servings there instead of just 1. A piece of bread or a pancake or a waffle should be about the size of a CD. And then this one always gets people, the pasta is about the size of a computer mouse.
Wow.
And so, yeah, that looks a lot different when you eat out at a restaurant for sure.
She says the one area where you need not worry too much about portions is when it comes to eating your veggies.
Really, we want people to eat as many vegetables as they can. I don't think we've really come across too many people who say, my problem is I can't lose weight because I'm eating too many vegetables. But really, like a portion size of raw vegetables is about what you can cup in 2 hands. And then when you cook your vegetables, they lose some water and they get a little bit smaller. So it's about what you would fit in 1 cupped hand.
She says for many, portion control is an adjustment. A trick she uses at home is using smaller plates. Instead of a 12-inch dinner plate, she puts her meal on a salad plate.
And they've actually done studies about this where they give 2 people plates of food. Let's say you get the big one and I get the small one, and they fill them up and we both eat all of our food, only I'm just as satisfied eating my smaller plate of food as you are eating your bigger plate of food.
Another trick she uses when she goes out to eat is a well-timed doggy bag.
You can do the doggy bag trick where right away before you even start eating, you get half of it in a box to go. That way you have another meal for later. It can save you a little bit money and you're not eating as much at a time.
Lastly, she says don't approach a new eating plan thinking you can never treat yourself again.
And so it's always okay to splurge every once in a while. You just want to make sure that, you know, overall your day-to-day you're making good healthy choices and you're not having cake every day, but, you know, saving it for those special occasions and not just a Tuesday, you know.
Now remember, be patient with yourself. Many of the bad habits you're trying to break usually have taken years to form. Well, as we mentioned earlier, we are at the Las Vegas Fire and Rescue Training Center, where we want to tip our hat to one of our officers, the fire training officer, Chuck Stankosky. You see, he wanted to thank his fellow first responders after October 1st, so he set out on his own time to paint this mural. It's his way of saying thank you to his fellow first responders, those in training, and those who train.
So after October 1st, it seemed like the whole community, actually the whole nation came together. And so as a training officer down here, I just felt like we needed to join in with the pride of this community. As I'm sitting in my office, I just came up with this idea that this is something that everyone around here can see because it sticks up above all the shopping centers, and it would give some sense of pride, not only to our department, but to at least the residents around here to know that, you know, they're a part of something bigger than themselves. Well, that's the base. Once that dries, I'll take some of that dark blue and put the shadowing in there. I measured the tower, and then I went on a website to get the correct size for a flag. You know, for so many feet wide, it's got to be like 1.9 times its width for its length. And so I measured the tower from top to bottom, and then saw how wide it was and figured the size of the flag. So the flag itself is 17.5 feet wide, and it's 33 feet long. As you can see, it's kind of a time-consuming thing because it's just by myself in a ladder basket. This tower sticks up above the rest of the thing here, so as you're driving down Bonanza or Mojave, you should be able to see the flag and take a sense of pride in our community and in our country.
Thank you once again to Fire Training Officer Chuck Stankosky and to Eric Sorensen for shooting and editing that piece. Well, that does it for another City Beat. We thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time right here on KCLV TV.